This is my office. Obviously, all the games that I've ever been involved with at Gearbox are up on these top shelves, and a lot of the memorabilia and stuff from those games are there, and it just kind of reminds me of where we've been and the things that we've accomplished. Of course, I've got all my video game consoles from over the years. The story behind this is I had all these things in my garage, and my wife was like, "Dude, we need to make some space. You need to get all this stuff out of here." And I'm like, "Well," and they were just collecting dust. So I went to Home Depot and I bought these, water pipes and made these little stands and just, Velcro taped them down and kind of made a little museum out of it. As long as I could remember, I've played video games. The first console thing I remember is something my dad bought me. I don't even have it here. I was probably 5 years old, and it was had these little LED lights, 3 red ones and then a green one, 3 red ones and a green one, and a single controller. It was a stick, and it would go up and down, and then there was a digital timer, like the old school LED watch, and it would time things. And the idea was called like race car, and it would go red, 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 green, and when it hit green, you'd shift gears. And the faster you shift gears, then the quicker it would proceed to the next set of LEDs. But if you shifted gears too soon, it would break. It would stop, like you blew your engine or something. And the goal is to get to the end of the track in the fastest amount of time by shifting gears optimally. And that was the first game. From there, eventually consoles like this were created. This is a Pong game. This is Bentley. There's a whole bunch of Pongs. This is the one that we had. This is an Atari C380. 7 pre-programmed games that were like breakout variants and rebound variants and things like that. And there was a pinball. It says video pinball. Breakout was, of course, the meaningful thing in here. And we know the Atari and the Intellivision, of course, and the ColecoVision. This isn't my original ColecoVision. In this era, I think ColecoVision is probably the system I played the most. This isn't an original. The original I've got at home, but the US model, there's a chip inside which corrodes after about 20 years, so it no longer becomes functioning. But in Canada, they used a different component for that part, which survived. So I bought this particular one off of eBay that's got the Canadian chip in it, so this guy still works. Vectrex. This is cool. It's all vector graphics. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. The Master System, which I thought was brilliant. In many ways, it's a better system than the 8-bit Nintendo. We had so many great games on the Nintendo, of course. We probably spent a lot more time playing with that, but the Sega Master System was really phenomenal. These are all the handhelds, of course. I think I need to add some to it. Probably get my DS Lite in here finally, and maybe my DSi, because I'm doing the 3DS now. On this side, of course, we're getting into modern history. Look at this. On some things you have a little protective layer. I haven't peeled that off yet, so you can still see the little protective layer on the TurboGrafx there. And look how beat up that is. All the from the cartridges going out. I don't know how many hours I spent playing AVP. Remember AVP on the Jaguar? Or Iron Soldier was pretty awesome. And the Genesis. I've got another Genesis somewhere that has the over-under CD and the 32X on it, but I couldn't find it. It's not in my garage. I think I pulled it out once to play like Starflight or something. Last gen consoles. I guess soon I'll have to make room. I'll have to maybe scoot that over and put the Wii up there, because we're gonna have a Wii U soon. So, and the newest stuff is, of course, I'm using it. It's at home, but as the system is retired, I bring it in here and just kind of throw it on the shelf. So eventually I'm gonna have to add more shelves, I guess, because I'm gonna run out of space. I think I probably spent the most hours with the Sega Genesis. There's so many great games on that guy. I think that the Neo Geo, though, it was super expensive, but what you were doing at home with that thing was amazing. It was so expensive, I don't even have the cartridge version, I have the CD version, but the games are so great for that era. But I think hours spent, probably the Genesis. Some of my fondest memories come from that time. But every system has some winners that stand out, And it's kind of cool because in one view I can see the history of the video game industry, be reminded of where we've been and remember that. Let's see some other things. This is cool. This is the first dollar that Gearbox made. When we got our first check for our first thing, I pulled $1 out and I put it in that frame. It reminds me, of course, that it's a business. It's like we love creating entertainment, but if we don't at least make as much money as we spend, then we don't get to keep going. And I also feel a deep responsibility to all the people here whose livelihoods I'm responsible for. So we have to remember that. The other thing too is this picture. I'm not sure if you know the story of the picture of George Washington the painting that picture is based off of, if you look at the original, it's like the canvas is this big and only like this much of it was filled in. Like it was going to be a full body thing. And the artist, I don't know what happened, maybe he ran out of time, maybe he died. The artist that painted that didn't finish the painting, but he prioritized the look of Washington. And he got that gleam in the eye just right, so that of all the paintings of Washington, the US government chose that one, this unfinished painting, to put on the dollar bill. And it kind of reminds us, as artists, you know, that artist that started that, he had the ambition to fill the entire canvas. But in the course of it, he prioritized the things that mattered most. And that was the essence of Washington and the gleam in his eye. And because he prioritized the right things, he actually made the biggest impact of our memory of this great man. And when we're making video games along the way, we have to sometimes adapt. We start with an idea, we start with a vision, but we adapt along the way and prioritize what matters. And if we do a good job, then what we end up with is impactful. Okay, so this is a Pac-Man watch, circa 82 maybe, I don't know. I was in Maryland and I had my watch, and there was all these kids around me. I was a little boy, and all these kids around that were enamored by this, and I was kind of showing it off, and I had this kind of audience. I was holding court with all these kids that wanted to play with this watch, and after I kind of dismissed them all, this one kid kind of hung around, and a guy named Wade Callender, and he really wanted to play with the watch, so we ended up making a deal. And we signed a contract written in crayon on a piece of paper, and the contract was he gave me $1 and I let him borrow the watch for a night. And the guy, Wade Callender, I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and he was probably like 7 or 8. He became a lawyer, and I became a game maker, and Wade now actually is our executive counsel here at Gearbox Software. So that's like, and he got me this as a birthday gift a few years ago. Like found one on the internet somewhere and bought it to remind me of that day. These are obviously our games, and then some other things relating to the games. Some of the games we do have ancillary things. Sometimes they're little promotional bits, sometimes they're actual ancillary products, like the Brothers in Arms action figures. I think there's some comic books up there. Face plates, and things like that. These are neat. These are a German tank and an American tank that, like a Sherman and a Panther, and they're remote control, and they actually can shoot. They don't shoot anything physical. It's like a little laser that the other one could register, so you can have a little physical tank battle with these little remote control tanks. This is kind of neat. Ubisoft did this deal where they put the game on a USB stick. So you just buy the USB memory stick and the game's on there. These are cool, these little cubes. Whenever we ship a game, we have these cubes made, and everybody on the development team gets one. And so it's kind of and this one's for Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30, and it's a little crystal cube with the logo in it. It's kind of cool if you walk around the studio, Gearbox, you'll see people have all their cubes stacked, or some of them have them all on display. And the more cubes you've got, the more badass you are, because that means the more games you shipped. So yeah, that's kind of, and there's a couple that are special cubes, like for secret projects and things that are like really, really rare. I think the rarest is just 1 dozen of them exist, and it's for a project that I should never talk about. But this is my desk and my computer, and this is the hallway and obviously a glass window. Anyone can walk by at any time and see exactly what I'm working on. And one of our principles at Gearbox is that we're transparent. And we're confident in what we're doing and the value that we're bringing. I use myself as an example. Anyone can see that what I'm doing at my computer, and the hope is that we all are confident in our own contributions, and we're all comfortable with being exposed to one another and being transparent with one another. This is especially true in a creative industry, which has so much subjectivity in it. We need to kind of do things and try things and be comfortable with the judgment that'll happen. And it's only by being comfortable with that we can learn from it and adapt and make new decisions later. So anyway, yeah, it's my office.